So money being locked out of the hands of black people, more racist rhetoric coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So money being locked out of the hands of black people is an example of fictitious notion, a bunch of nonsense that black folks believe that's just simply not true. Now, the argument behind this is that blacks are being disenfranchised in America by preventing us from having access to capital. If we don't have access to capital, then we can't build up the black community. And that's pretty much the narrative and the theory behind this argument. And it's really based off of really two pieces of information, honestly. And the first piece of information is that black people, per capita that is, we're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes down to economically as a rate per person. Now, that's a fact. And they always say that, we are rejected for loans at a higher rate than any other group in America, which is also a fact. But the problem that I have with this argument is that both these examples are just nothing but end result thinking. Once again, they look at the end result, they see something that they don't like, and they assume this is how we got to the end result, but they never do any real research into how we got to the end result. So let's go into these two examples to show you how they're not true and it's a bunch of nonsense. So let's start with, blacks are scraping the bottom of the barrel economically, per capita. Although that is true, it's not happening because there's no white supremacy out there. That's all an assumption. The fact is that black people do more of what it takes to cause poverty. And that's why blacks are going to be impoverished at a higher rate. You do more of the things that cause poverty, you're going to have more poverty. You do more of the things that produce wealth, you're going to have wealth. That's just how it is. Now, I've always said when it comes down to poverty, though, I've always said, we judge poverty and define poverty as a matter of state of income. But to be honest with you, poverty is a state of mind. Because people who are impoverished are going to do impoverished things that's going to cause them to be impoverished. And I talk about the ghetto mentality all the time. This is the big problem with black people. Black people just do more of the things that's going to cause poverty. That's just how it is. As a black person in America, I say that the ghetto mentality is a childlike mentality that causes people to do, that basically cause people to do the things that's going to cause poverty. It's a mentality that puts heavy emphasis on living for the day, quick gratification, with very little emphasis whatsoever toward delaying gratification so you can have gain in the future. And this is one of the problems that you see oftentimes with black people in the hoods. As you see, the reason why the hoods are the way they are is because of the mentality of the people. Take those black people out of those hoods, those downtrodden hoods, abandoned homes, boarded up homes, buildings or whatever. Take black people out of there, these ghetto-minded black folks out of there. You put decent-minded people in those communities, and they'll be flourishing within 5 years. It'll be a complete turnaround because of the difference of mentality of the people. So the reason why black people are scraping the bottom of the barrel economically is because of the mentality. And it all started with the Great Society. Prior to that, I would say that if you look at the poverty rates amongst black people, it started declining. And after the World War II to the mid-60s, before the implementation of the Great Society, the gap between black people and white people was closing. So black people had a better mentality back then, and the Great Society came in and basically created what we know today as the ghetto mentality. So that's why black people are scraping the bottom of the barrel economically in this country per capita. And then the argument that black people are rejected at higher rates for loans. Again, that's a fact. But, actually, that's not really true. That's more like a matter of Native Americans are actually the ones who just want to get this note. Native Americans are actually rejected at a higher rate than black people are. So that's correct, that one. So black people aren't dead last, but we're second on that list. But the reason why black people are rejected for loans at such a high rate is not because of racism. That's just an assumption. The reason why is because black people have jacked up credit. And again, only second to that of Native Americans. So it's amazing how your credit rating, or the importance of your credit rating for your ability to be able to get a loan. And your credit rating has nothing to do with your skin shade. It has everything to do with your behavior. Your behavior is going to determine what your credit rating is going to be. You know, you pay your bills, your credit more likely going to be higher. Your credit rating is going to be high. If you don't pay your bill, more than likely it's going to be lower. And again, there's a set formula out there that we can go research on. That's kind of a guarded secret, but you can get the information on what it takes to make your credit better. And unfortunately, black people, one of the problems of black people is black people are least likely to go out there and seek credit repair help. Is that racism and white supremacy stopping them from doing that? No, that's the ghetto mentality. If you have a ghetto mentality, which is a childlike mentality, you're not going to be looking to go seek credit repair help because you're just interested in living for the day and satisfying gratification today. So black people have some of the worst credit ratings in America, scraping the bottom of the barrel because we do the things that cause. So once again, there's no money being locked out of the hands of black people. A black person with good credit, it can get a loan just as well as a white person with good credit. A black person with X amount of credit rating will be approved for loan at the same rate as a white person with the same credit rating. It's not about skin color. They try to make it out of skin color because these race hustlers make everything out about race, but it has nothing to do with skin color. Because if that were the case, then we have to ask the question, if there really truly was all this racism, then why is it that Asian people have the higher credit rating and also are approved for loans at a higher rate than anybody, including white folks? So this ideal notion that money being kept out of the hands of black people, kept away from black people, is nonsense. It's a myth. It doesn't happen. In reality, the truth is that we as black people are keeping ourselves away from the money because of our behaviors, because of our attitudes, because of the things that we do in our own community, such as committing mass crime. So if you ever hear any of these race hustlers crying about how money is being locked out of the hands of black people, well, now you know, and knowing it's at the battle, and it's always, always, always y'all. Until next time.